Welcome everyone to another 100 Days of No Code workshop. Really excited to be joined by Mariam from Softr, who's going to be walking us through the origin story of Softr, what it does, some key concepts, and then diving into a small build with Softr Live. So, and then we'll open up for some questions at the end. So I hope that sounds good to you guys. And yeah, just chuck any thoughts, comments in the chat as we go. And yeah, I'll pass it over to Mariam. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Max. Also glad to be here. And yeah, if any questions come up in between, feel free to put in the chat. Happy to answer in between as well. And yeah, glad to be here. So I think this is the second time, right? I have been also doing another workshop long time ago, which at the time it was still so early. Seems so much has changed in software recently. But yeah, so basically, I don't know, maybe just a question first. How many people know what Softr is and how many people have used? Well, how many people know what Softr does? I see some hands. The others are without video, but okay, let's assume like half of the people know what Softr is. So I'll try to be also a bit, give some more intro what we do. So basically, well, you're part of 100 Days of No Code. You are starting to learn all of the different tools, and there are like hundreds, right? There are so many. And where we saw the gap really initially, where we started maybe the origin story, as mentioned, Max. So both of the founders are coming from product and tech background. So we ourselves have been building software products for quite a long time. And the first point for us to start Softr and generally a no-code tool was out of our frustration, just because we have been repeating and kept building the same things over and over in different companies as we joined. We kept building authentications, payment integrations, etc. And then as an engineer, you're usually very lazy. You just try to automate as much as you can. And we kind of, at some point, we thought, why not to have a platform where all of these repetitive components are offered as building blocks? And then on top of that, you just build what's unique to your business or as an individual. And then that's where we really started like kind of mingling with no code and generally such a tool. And I mean, at the time, I didn't even know there is tools like Wix, etc., because I never used any no code tool myself. And it was really interesting to find out there are so many other tools in the market. And as we dive into different tools and started using, etc., biggest gap we noticed was really some of the tools were just really simplistic and basic. You could just build static websites with those, but then on the other spectrum, there were tools like Bubble, Webflow, which were pretty powerful for their own kind of specific solutions, right? But they were really technical, really. I mean, I have been having hard time using Bubble in the beginning, even though being technical. And we just realized there is really big gap in the market where, especially for people who are coming from non-tech background and who really don't know anything about technology, they just can't use these tools, or they would have to hire agencies, but then it becomes almost the same, like almost meaningless. Like to us, no-code tool should, but on its own, be really a tool that is actually no-code. You shouldn't hire a no-code person, no-code developer, right? It just kind of breaks the entire point. And then that's where we realized that we really want to build software in a way that's really easy to use without requiring any technical background, but also is powerful. So yeah, that's basically the background story. And we have started very kind of lean as a website builder, and then added more functionality to make it more powerful. So right now, Softr is really helping anyone build web applications and portals using Airtable as a backend. And this is also, again, Airtable is just kind of the first step, just because there is huge demand for people who already use Airtable, have their data in Airtable, and then just visualize this data in different ways. In the future, there might be also Google Sheets, Notion, external APIs, or also our own collection, but yeah, that's for the future. So in terms of use cases, I think that would be interesting for people also to understand who haven't used Softr or maybe just have heard of it. So right now, what you can build with Softr are, first of all, of course, static websites and landing pages, but then also marketplaces. We have lots of customers building marketplaces, member-only communities, similar to 100 Days of No Code, what Max has built, customer portals, employee portals, also within companies' internal tools, so that they can give access to specific data to their customers or internally within different departments, and paid online courses, resources directories, which is very typical, especially within the kind of maker group to start with as kind of the hello world of the no code. And those are the main ones. There are also like really random other types of applications, but these are the really key ones talking about. But yeah, I think I wanted to mention one more thing before I dive into the building. So I wanted to show the new, so we have a new pricing. I don't know if anyone knows the old pricing, but basically right now what we offer, one interesting thing, especially for people just starting in no code and just kind of trying out different ideas and getting used to no code tools, is we are offering custom domains on the free plan as well, which is something in most of the other no code tools you won't find. And the reason being, of course, I mean, there is branding, slide branding like this, which is also really nice, by the way. And anyone who it's really helping anyone to kind of to launch, to not wait for the next, to just pay and only for custom domain to pay and start sharing their build with their customers or clients or like interested audience. So this really gives a heads up kind of for people head start into just building and launching. Hope you can take advantage of that. And let's dive into the building. So what I wanted to show is building a simple membership platform where basically you will have a gated content. Once the users are logged in, they will see a different content. And if they are logged out, they see different content. So it's going to be really quick. And I don't have that much information to create on the pages, that many pages. But it's going to give you the idea. And maybe before diving into building, so just to give a high level overview of anyone who hasn't tried Softr. So the main concept, I think that's also what Tom was talking about in Softr, is really we want to keep things really simple, but also powerful. And the way we achieve that is we offer most of the repetitive functionality as building blocks. So here, if you log in to your Softr account, you will see blocks. And this is really one of the core concepts in Softr. So basically, we offer in different groups, we offer specific types of blocks, which are very typical to different websites or web apps. So let's say every website has a header. Every website has a hero section to show the value proposition, like features, CTAs, click to action, and theme, like all of the typical blocks that you see in every other website. We offer different layouts for each of them. And then also, these are mostly for the static website part. And then for the web app functionality, there is other groups like user accounts, where it's the sign in, sign up forms, payments, where you can have checkout pages and you can integrate with Stripe and start charging your customers. You can have lists, which is one of the core of basically showing data from Airtable. So there are different layouts here you can use. And then basically it's just mapping your front end from Softr to the backend, the database in Airtable. And then there are list pages. You can have lists, and then when clicking on each list item, you can also have nice details page. And the details page we also already have in a way that is really dynamic. You can have as many fields, as many type of fields as you like in your detail page. So for this build, I'm just going to show, let's say this is the first page, and let me just hide this. I'm going to show a first page. There is a home page that I have, and then I have created a separate courses page where I want to list specific courses, which are only available after the user is logging in. So on the home page, I have very basic information, right? It's like header, sign in, sign up buttons. There is some hero section. And then there is some other part where it says it's free, but you have to log in, you have to create an account, and the other page that I just showed. So basically what I'm going to show is I already have an Airtable base. So I have a startup school template, which basically nicely shows some information about specific videos, which are about startup, launching startup. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to map that Airtable into the courses page. So let's go to the courses page. So this is the dynamic page already. Now I'm adding a blog from the list group so I want to have the video blogs. So there are different types you can choose from. Some have tags on top, some are expandable lists. For my case, I think the one that works nicely is the one with videos. So basically here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select an Airtable base. And now we just also introduced really this search, which makes it really handy to find your Airtable base if you have too many. And on the sidebar, you are able basically to map, to do all of the mapping from Airtable to this front end. So I can define the view that comes from Airtable, which fields do I need to sort on the view, how many items I want to show per page, and also now filtering. So let me just stop here and explain a bit what these filters are. So there we have inline filters, which is something that is going to show up like this as tags. And then this is something that it will be visible to the end user. So once the users see your application, they can filter directly on the page. And then we have also conditional filters, which allows you to pre-filter this list based on different conditions. So today we just released another functionality, which basically allows you filtering this list based on all different user attributes. So let's say you have users table in Airtable, and then the users might have name, maybe a role in a company, company name, etc. So you could say, as an example for another type of application, that show all of the items that belong to users based on specific email, or show all of the items that are allowed to see only for the manager role, etc. So in this case, I don't need any pre-filtering. So here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna define these filters. And first of all, I want to show it on top. So I could also define it's visible on the left, on top, on the right-hand side. And of course, like the important thing is that almost anything that you see here is customizable design-wise. So you could change colors, you could change, adjust paddings, everything. Not take this specific item and move it around. So that's one key thing that we have in Softr is really kind of a balance between flexibility and ease of use. We don't allow people taking things and moving around on the page. However, we do allow dynamically adding different fields and changing the design, which in turn makes it really easy for people to start with, but also it makes it automatically responsive. So if anything you build on Softr is automatically responsive, so you don't really need to spend hours or days to make everything look nice on other platforms. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say subject, based on subject, I want to filter here. And if you look on the Airtable side, so the subject says a specific topic that this video belongs to. And here I need to manually enter the values of this specific subject, just because Airtable, so this is a bit, a limitation of Airtable API, that they do not give the values back from this field that we just selected. So we have to manually enter that. But now once I enter those, they are nicely showing up here. And then what this is going to enable is filtering based on specific category. So now let's go back to search. So I could also decide to not show the search, but let's leave it for now. And then I can define based on which field should this search work on. So do I want to search based on the title, or do I want to allow users to search based on subtitle or description or something else? So for now, I'm just going to leave it empty. And now let's go to each list item. So here you are mapping basically the data from Airtable to here, what to show. So on the image, I'm just going to say show the image. And then underneath, because it's a video blog, it's going to play the video once I click on it. As a title, I'm going to show the title. And then as a subtitle, I'm going to show description. And then one important thing is that once you change everything, it's kind of on the same page, on the fly, you see what's happening, right? You see how it's going to look like. And that's really nice from a user perspective. And then here on click, I can also define what happens once I click on a specific item. So I could say open, so in this case, it opens a media because this is a video playing list, but I could also say open a separate page and define, each page to be a details page and then show more information. I could also say, yeah, open external URL, which also the data can come from Airtable. But in this case, let's say just open the media. And let's preview. So as you can see, this is the list that I get from Airtable. I can filter by specific tag. It only shows the growth elements. I can search for a specific item. It shows all the ones that contain MVP as part of, like right now it searches based on title and description. I could also limit that. And yeah, I could also look for more data for all of the data. But this is basically what I get on the page. So now what we want to do is, right now, if I were to publish then through URL of this page, I could access these courses. So let's try that first. So I'm publishing it first and then opening the published version, which is running on subdomain. And then once I put the correct URL, it's going to show me the page, right? Because it's not hidden behind any gateway. So here I also see the header block, which is not something I want to show on the course page. So now if we go back to the home, Max, can you hear me? Just
yeah, you're all good. All good.
Feel free to shout out any questions if
Of
there are.
Of course.
Yeah. So here, what I want to do is basically if I'm not logged in as a user, I want to see these two buttons, but it doesn't make sense for me as a logged in user to see these buttons, right? So in this case, what I'm going to do is just duplicate the header on the home page. And then here, I'm going to remove the buttons for the second one because I don't want in the logged in version to see those buttons. And then here, as you can notice, there is show user profile toggle, which once we toggle it on, it's going to show this profile icon. And below the profile icon, I can define different links, but in this case, it's just a sign out by default. So let's leave it as it is. And now, in order for both of them to not be visible on the home page and on the courses page, I'm going to define visibility rules. So basically for this first one, for the first header, there is a small icon here. When you click on it, it's going to allow you to define the membership and other conditions. So I'm going to say this one is visible to the non-logged in users. And you see there is a lock appearing here, which means it has a conditional visibility rule in it. And then for the second one, I'm going to say, show the second one only for logged in users. And here again, if you notice, there is this area appearing, which allows you to define other conditions as well. In our case, we won't define that, but basically you could also say, show a specific block. It doesn't have to be the header. It could be something on the page. Show that only when logged in users email equals something. Or if you have Stripe configured and you have, let's say you're selling courses, you could only show a specific course in case if user has paid for that course. I think this is also typically like the type of application that right now Max has. So he is using these conditional visibility rules to show specific courses or items to people who have bought that course specifically, right? I think that's...
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So in this case, we're just gonna have a logged in membership rule on top of this header. And the next thing what we do is on the courses page. So for the entire page, we don't want to show this page to the non-logged in users, right? Because otherwise they would have access to the courses. So in this case, I have to go to the courses settings. And then here as well, there's visibility area where you can define it's only visible to logged in users. I mean, all of the same conditions like payment and other conditions based on user attributes are available on a page level and on the block level. So you could basically have the same rules for different pages and for different blogs. Now I press save and it shows the log. So meaning it's also, again, logged behind specific rule. So now let's publish. I actually right now, one thing I forgot is we don't have yet a sign up and sign in page. So in order to do that, I'm going to create sign up and sign in page. So sign in, it's simple page as, yeah, I'm just going to leave the headers there for now. Or one thing I could do as well, I could say I don't want to see these headers. And then I go, oops, sorry. On the page settings, I could say default header and footer, remove that. Don't show, or just show the footer, but not the header. And then in this page, I'm going to show, I'm going to say, just use this user account from user account group. This is the sign up form. I'm going to drag and drop that here. And then once the user signs in here, they will be redirected to courses page. So that is what I will define here. So I'm not going to change much design, but you could also have nice background, like the colors that match your branding. And here, the button, as you see on the button, the action is predefined. So you don't have to really define like big workflows or anything, but the entire sign in and sign up flow is defined for you. And then you only can change that. You can specify that after login, which page opens up. So in this case, after sign in, I want to show the courses page. And then of course I could have forget sign in, sign up page, forget password page and show sign up or not. But let's leave the sign up because we also need people to sign up. And now we need to create another page, which is called sign up. So again, similarly on this page, I'm gonna hide the header. I'm gonna add a sign up form, which is under user accounts, sign up. So here again, the same thing. I'm gonna switch off name. The action is defined, and yeah, terms and conditions, you can also define that. And page after sign up. So once the user signs up, where do we wanna take them? And let's again say this is the courses page. So here as well, I can say, let's say if the user doesn't have an account, then they can click on sign in button and go to sign in page. We have to just link that here as well. And then if we go back to sign in page, we haven't linked the sign up button. And now we are going to link it to the sign up page as well, because we have that page already. Okay. So now we should be all set, except on the home page now, when the user clicks on the buttons, we just link those buttons to the pages. I think this one is left from the previous one that I had used. So now I'm just saying these buttons have to open the pages, the sign in and sign up pages. And now let's publish. So as you can see, I don't see the second header, right? So on this page again, if you look, you are going to see the two headers. But once I have published, because I'm not a logged in user, I don't see the other header. I only see the first page. And now let's say on sign in page, yeah, we don't have an account. Let's go back to sign up page. Let's create a new account. Sign up. Okay, something is not working here. Let's go back and see if we have defined the sign up page. On the sign up page, we have defined that after sign up, after clicking on the sign up button, page after sign up should be courses. And for sign in, yeah, let's see what doesn't work. Let me use another email. Maybe I have used this one. Okay. Yeah, so for some reason this doesn't work. Now let's say I have, yeah, doesn't work because I don't have a user like that. This is always the case, right? When doing a demo, it doesn't work.
Exactly. No, it's all good. It's all good. I can affirm that my sign up page for 100 days of no code works perfectly.
Okay, so let me do a hack here. So once the users sign up, then they are going to appear in this data tab. There's all of the users that you signed up. So I can just manually add my user. Yeah, I have this email, but it should work.
I just wanted to catch you here as well,
Yeah.
Miriam. Just a couple of questions in the chat before we sort of move on.
Sure.
So we had one from Rashika around is there an ability for different different roles? So I'm assuming, is that different roles for users, or Rashika, feel free to come off mute and ask that as well, like if I've sort of butchered that. But I don't know, do you get that, Marianne?
Do you mean for different roles, show different listings or different data? Is that the question?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, you can. The condition, I'll get back to that. The conditional filters that I showed. So basically based on any user attribute, whether it's a company name or username or user role, let's say the role could be something you have defined in your Airtable as a multi-select, for example, or single select, which can say employee or manager. And then you can use that to filter the list, but also to define visibility rules for different blogs or pages. So yeah, you can do that.
Awesome.
Let me just move forward. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, no, absolutely. And the other question was around is there any like third-party sign up or login like Google that you can use? And I know that's not the case at the moment, but is there, I guess the question would be, is there any plans for that in the future?
Yes, Google sign up is planned. So using third party for you building software, using third party to log in for your end users. Yes, that's planned. It's not there yet, but it's planned. I think we even have that in our pricing mentioned somewhere. Yeah, it's a single sign-on here in the last plan, but Google sign-in is something most probably will be available under professional plan.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now that I have a user, just quickly show, I want to show that this the page is hidden behind login. So now, sorry, I'm on the sign-in page, as the link says. I have created my user, and let's try to log in with the pre-existing user. Okay, so now after login, as you can see, I see the courses page, and I see a different header. This is the second header where I see my profile and I can sign out. And let's also check that after I sign out. So this is the page now I'm not signed in. Let's check that the courses page is not visible. So it's not visible. And I mean, of course, you could also define another page which shows up nicely for these cases if you are not logged in, or it might redirect you directly to the home page. But basically what this means is you have now gated content, and that's only visible for the users who are logged in. Hope that makes sense. And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Well, that was immense. Yeah, I don't know how you
Maybe
did
just
that
one
so
last
quickly.
thing regarding those users. So once all of the users log in, they appear under this data tab, as I mentioned, and there is two modes. So basically there is test data and there is live data. What I just did after publishing, those are all the live data of the real users. And then once you preview, then you can just test your application as you make changes before going live, and then you will see all of those sign-ins under the test data. So it doesn't really mess up with your live database. And then one other thing which is really important in this scenario is that right now all of the users that log in on Softr application, they are stored under this data tab. It's only the email and the name and the password that we store. This is also really handy because you don't want to store your users' passwords in Airtable because it's for privacy reasons. So the way it would work is in your Airtable, you would have users table with all of the different attributes that you like. And then here you will just click connect to Airtable, define which one is your users table. And basically your users table here and in Airtable are connected. So it's the same user. It's just that it stores, we store the password, and then you don't have to store it in Airtable. And then here on the pages, you can use any of the attributes that the user has. So the question that was asked previously, let me just show that. So here, let's say if this data had user role or something, I mean, in this case, it doesn't make that much sense. But if this was let's say, list of projects, and there was assignee, which was the role could be manager or employee. In this case, I would say a condition for this, add a condition for this specific element, the assignee. I mean, in this case, there is no assignee. Assignee is equal to that specific object, to the role. So logged in user role. In this case, it would appear here, the role, and then you could just select. And that basically it's a dynamic condition that based on that, it would show a filtered list. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Mariam. Yeah, super impressive to be able to get through all that in such a short amount of time. So thank you for that. And yeah, I'll open it up for questions if people have. Yeah, feel free to come off mute as well if it's obviously a small intimate group. So yeah, burning questions, ask away. If not, I'll fire away because I actually do have a question.
I think there are some in the chat. Yeah, but go ahead. I'm also happy to just read through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess my question is, yeah, what is the most exciting things that on your sort of near term and long term roadmap? And I'm just intrigued, kind of, obviously you're churning out features so quickly, but also you know, to what end, you know, where is this going, or at least as much as you could share would be really good, like a long-term vision. So yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I think there are 2-3 really big kind of updates that are coming soon. One is around the design of the platform. Happy to share, I mean, very shortly, that we're also redesigning a bit the platform. It's gonna look much nicer and much more intuitive for sure, rather compared to what it is now, even though now, yeah, lots of people kind of find it easy, but we are basically reworking that and making it much better. And the second thing, we also are working on editing functionality. So it's going to be even more powerful in terms of all of the data that you just saw on the lists. It's just showing data, right? It's read-only data. You cannot really interact with the data. So that's the next thing that we're working on, is that you're going to be able to edit the data directly from your web page instead of going back to Airtable, because that's exactly like the reason that lots of people don't want to give access to Airtable, and they potentially don't want to give access to edit either. So you would be able to do that from the front end. I guess those are the two big things.
Awesome. It's so just to clarify, so with the dynamic data, does that mean that, say, for instance, if I wanted a list of, let's say I've got everyone in the community has a profile, could they change the data connected to their?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. They could update their profile. They could add new stuff. They could add, I don't know, new skills or new CV or something from outside world, or just change the existing content on the page. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's kind of not to pressure you, but when just rough dates, rough timeline on that would be awesome.
It's planned pretty soon. Well, it's the next thing as one of the biggest things. There are still some small things we are working on, like having dynamic lists. So, you know, there is the dynamic list details. You can add as many fields as you like on the page and have a really kind of custom version. Same thing is going to come for lists, and these conditional filters also give a lot of power, because then based on different conditions you can show different data to different people and also have visibility rules. So as those things are done, and then the next thing is really just editing.
Amazing. Sounds good. So we've got a question from Tahir. I'm not quite sure I understand this one. Can we eliminate Airtable and every perform or platform happens on Softr? So I'm guessing, is that revolving around, will there be a point when you're not sort of using Airtable, or you're able to do the same thing as you are with Airtable, but like natively within Softr? Is that the question to hear? Yes.
Well, I mean, right now, if the question is really, if I understood correctly, if we can completely eliminate Airtable and do the same things on Softr, what we do right now. Well, we could. I mean, right now we can't. So right now we use as a database the Airtable, but in the future that's also the plan. So it can be, instead of database using Airtable as a database, it might be Google Sheets, might be Notion, and also our own collections, similar to what Bubble does. They have everything inside their application, right? We just have found that right now Airtable had the biggest demand, and there are many people having that need. So once we kind of cover all of these use cases with Airtable, then potentially the next step is looking at other data sources as well.
Great. Priyanka.
Yeah, I have a question. So how easy is it to brand and make it look all pretty and match the, branding of the business or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I didn't manage to show lots of design changes, but basically you can ask maybe Max or one thing that we are going to have very soon is on our website, really lots of like customer stories and customer examples, what people have built, but it's really like almost anything. Unless you want to pick some elements and move them completely around in the page, like randomly, that's not possible. But other than that, design wise, like colors, fonts, paddings, background images, or images directly integrated, we have illustrations integrated, pixels, column images, icons, all of that is changeable. So I just didn't manage to show that. Fantastic. But it's, yeah, you can make it as customizable as you like.
And is there a limit to A, the number of members, or B, the number of items on your database? Say the videos you were showing, is there a limit?
Yeah, it's a good question. So on the pricing, you will see that depending on which price tier you are, there are some limitations. And there are different limitations on the members, basically end users who could log in, and then the number of rows that comes from Airtable. But I guess like on the mid plan, which is the professional plan, it's pretty, I mean, there's 10K members, and I think 10K, I need to check again, but 10K Airtable rows, exactly. Airtable records, which is a lot. Like once you reach that point, then yeah, it's becoming another conversation already.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
I'd concur. It's I've really enjoyed using it for design as well, especially because it gives you options, but it also doesn't give you too many where you're paralyzed and you're looking at a blank page. So that's been really good for me to move more quickly than I would have otherwise been able to.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that we intentionally didn't want to give all the possibilities of changing design like Webflow or others do, just because if you are not a designer, usually that makes your life much harder and you're lost and you don't know what to do, right? Like once you have less options and you know what you want to do, you still can customize it to your needs based on your needs, but it's not like crazy customizable, that's for sure. Yeah. And that is, and the reason being having that in place is that everything you would build on Softr is automatically responsive, looks nice on the other platforms, which is something I'm sure you don't want to mess around with and start building kind of a new platform for mobile or something.
Yeah, exactly. And anyone got any other more questions for Mariam before we close up this session?
I can maybe also just add up if there are no questions. Just add that we have lots of integrations in place already. If you are using like analytics tools or email, you want to send your emails to MailChimp or MailerLite. There are lots of integrations like chat on the page. So just have a look at our internal, like the studio. There's integrations area and it has all of the integrations in it.
Awesome. And I guess just a closing question to leave people on that hopefully will give people ideas for how they can start building in Softr is what are you seeing as the most like common use cases, and what can people start building today?
Yeah, I think it really vastly depends on what people want to build, because the idea that Softr what Softr tries to do is give you the building blocks like Lego bricks, and then you can build any type of Lego on top of that. It just really depends on creativity of the people. We have seen lots of different stuff being built, but the most common use cases we have seen are marketplaces, member-only communities, online courses, like lots of resource directories. So people having some kind of resource they want to share with others, or have a gated content on top of that. And like normal, just standard landing pages and websites.
Epic. Cool. Well, yeah, is there any, before we wrap up, any final thoughts that you want to share, closing words you want to share with the group, Mariam?
Yeah, I think I really love this community and the group, and really how Max is empowering everyone to kind of just start from scratch and really learn the tools. Well, I hope you found this useful, and if there are any questions, feel free to reach out anytime on the chat or just directly message me on Twitter. Happy to answer, and yeah, I wish you all good luck with your journey and building out interesting things.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Mariam. Thanks everyone for coming.
And you too. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.